Hello everybody, it is John and today we are talking about necromancy. Yes, I have been a huge fan of an author called LG Estrella, and they have written a series of books called the Unconventional Heroes series, which revolves around the main character who is a grand necromancer. But when you read what goes on, he's not that sort of insane, deranged individual. Mind you, of course, looking at it from, say, a role-playing point of view, he would appear to have, he seems to be able to. He's a warrior, and besides being a necromancer, he can also cast wizardly spells. Earth magic, I think, from memory, is his other speciality. So it's an interesting character, and I'm thinking I really liked the concept of a necromancer that doesn't necessarily have to be evil. Now, I know people always go, oh, look, if you're playing around and digging around with corpses and all sorts of things, well, does that mean that people who are coroners or people who work in funeral homes evil because that's the job that they have to do, dealing with the dead? And I can see some people go, oh yes, but you're raising the dead, so is that really ethical? Well, I don't know. Is it? Probably not. But from a perspective of this author's works, like, I just love the first opening paragraph on the book, and it goes here: there comes a time in every necromancer's life when they begin to seriously consider a career change. The fact is that necromancers are not the most popular people. In fact, the average necromancer is forced to run from angry villagers at least 7 times over the course of their life, which may explain why so few necromancers are overweight. Magic is all well and good, but there are times when a high level of cardiovascular fitness is better. And I just love that. And that set the whole tone through this series of books. So I've been hunting around and I'm thinking, well, I'd like to try and run a campaign where a player will play the role of a necromancer. Or, for instance, if I got to play in a role-playing game, I would obviously choose a necromantic character, but not necessarily evil. And this is why I guess I always have a bit of problems with the alignment issues with what's good, what's evil, who defines good, who defines evil, and things like that. So it's an iffy area. I would probably put necromancers down more as neutral. Maybe neutral evil, perhaps, if that's what they're looking for, or even lawful neutral, to be honest, because they do follow their own. Well, certainly in this case with Lord Timothy Bolton, or Timmy as he likes to be called, is really, really, really interesting. And he has a 10-year-old apprentice called Katie, or Catherine Morrow is her character, and she ends up coming to him because her parents, pardon me, discover that she has necromantic abilities. She raises her dead dog, who she loves so much, he got run over by a wagon, and she finds that she has the necromancy skills to raise her dog, who's still with them, but he's far too brittle, and his tail keeps falling off, and things like that. But it's interesting that with this series of books, some of the undead do retain some level of intellect from their past life. Like, for instance, the librarian in the castle is a ghost, and but not evil. Well, who knows? You see, this is it. We attach labels to things that don't quite fit, particularly when you start reading books that people have written. How many vampire books are we, that have come out these days where the vampire is, a good person, or, is not as evil as the stereotypical vampire is, or werewolves that are cute and cuddly puppies. It's it's interesting. But no, this series is quite good. And of course, I went looking through drive-through trying to find some material. Plenty of books on, you know, necromancy and stuff, which I'll take and use and amend for my what is it? BECM, Basic Expert Companion and Master. I think that's what it is, or BX, or however you like. Basic D&D, anyway. The original, the old one from the dim. You know, look, I'm an old man. I've got white grey hair. Got a little bit of black left, not much. So, but yes, I went looking and I found this. I found a book there called Tome of Ethical Necromancy. I got really excited and I thought, oh, this will be really, really good. And it fell short. It more like I'm introducing. You know, it was written really to introduce a new character class called the what is it? The Necronite. So that's really what this publication really dealt with. You know, it gave you a page that said, oh, you know, non-evil necromancers. Well, I could run non-evil necromancers anyway. You know, it's not like necromancers will lose their abilities if they suddenly decide that, you know, they're doing good tasks. Because in the series of books, The Unconventional Heroes, is that Timmy raises undead, and in one case they're fighting goblins, and the goblins countless in numbers, but obviously fighting undead. Goblins die, goblin gets raised, swell the ranks, and that's the thing they were talking about. That's what they're discussing in this series of books, is that the one thing that that Everton, which is the nation that Timmy lives in, have a necromancer that helps them. The Empire, which are the, dare we call them, the bad guys that are wanting to reclaim Everton because it was once part of their mighty empire, they purged necromancers because they're evil people. And of course their current emperor is suddenly realizing, hey, look, there actually is an advantage to having necromancers in your army due to the fact that, look, raise the people who die, send them back in. But yeah, it's an interesting concept of playing a necromancer that does not necessarily have to be evil. I can remember certainly in the early days of D&D that one of the favourite things that the clerics used to do was they'd be able to raise dead, and they would use their zombies to go and open doors, walk down corridors, and you know, be the person or the entity that sets off traps. And that was you know, interesting. You know, it was a good way. As a DM, it frustrated in some respects because you're thinking, oh geez, I've set up all these wonderful things and now they got an undead lackey. Well, you just make sure that a, you know, 10-ton block of stone falls on the offending, you know, the offending zombie as it opens the door, sets off the trap, and splat. You know, can't raise something up from a gooey mess. So that's, you know, probably how I would handle it. But yeah, so what's everybody's thoughts when it comes to, you know, the running, you know, necromancers that don't necessarily have to be insane people? You know, Timmy's main weapon in this one's a shovel, and it explains why he has a shovel. You know, he says you can walk around town without being, you know, seen because, hey, look, you're carrying a shovel. Nothing threatening about a man carrying a shovel, is there? Probably a gravedigger, perhaps, or a farmer. Who knows? But look, that's my ramble. 10 minutes worth of necromancy. Why not? Make it a character class that people, well, you can specialise in necromancy. I think within 5th ed, I haven't paid a lot of attention to it, to be quite honest. I've mainly been looking at the old versions of D&D and how to incorporate it. But certainly worth it. I would highly recommend you read the series, the Unconventional Heroes series, and there's another one called Attempted Vampirism, which is just as good. So till next time, signing off, the Honourable John.